A number of years back we were trying to come up with a tagline for our program, and it came very quickly to us, and we came up with something that just is very simple, and we said, life beyond addiction. I suppose my journey with Teen Challenge Ireland started back in 2007 when we started to fundraise for a men's program. Before that I worked selling clothes at a clothing business, but I felt God was calling me to work with people who were homeless, and it was just through an incredible encounter that I had on the streets of Dublin with one individual that I felt that God was calling me to step out from what I knew and go and work with people who were homeless, and it was through that I came across Teen Challenge.
I was a drug addict that I used to rob, I used to, wheel and deal and do whatever I could, but I also worked at the same time. And it was the one thing that kept me drug abuse going for so long, is because I convinced myself as long as I was working I wasn't like that other drug addict,
Because my father had died at 42 of a heart attack, I'd convinced myself that I was going to die young as well. So I lived my life like that. I was going to die young anyway, so I may as well just, live it to the extreme. And I did that in my addiction and the way I lived life, thinking that I was going to die.
I'd say about 3 or 4 years into the drinking I knew that I had a problem, but I wasn't sure I needed help. At the time, I'd accepted I was going to drink for the rest of my life because I couldn't get off it. I tried everything, and I just said, what happens when the program finishes,
Over about a 6-month period, nearly half of the centre that I was sending the guys to in Scotland was holding Irish people from the streets of Dublin, and many of them that I had come across myself through the work on the streets, and it was just a real obvious situation that we needed something like a long-term, quality, Christ-centred program in Ireland to help people find a way out of addiction.
And it was while I was in Teen Challenge that I learned to accept myself. That was huge for me, just learning to accept, because for so many years I hated myself before I was in addiction, and then the things that I did in addiction, that made me hate myself even more. I was actually forgiven, that Christ forgave me for all that stuff that I did. And I learned to then forgive people for the stuff that was done to me. Come to a place of acceptance, a place of healing.
It got to a stage where I literally couldn't speak without alcohol. I was so nervous and kind of hated myself, and all of a sudden I had realised that pretty much all of that had gone. I actually started looking at what God had done for me.
For all the drugs I've done on the planet, everything, all the parties, nothing surpasses the peace I have today. Nothing surpasses it. And a verse that really, for me, and it's probably one of the most well-known, and it's for the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to give you a future, plans to give you a hope, plans not to harm you. And if there's anyone, that doesn't know the Lord or doesn't know what Teen Challenge is, it's a safe place and a safe environment where there's freedom.
I know that I wouldn't be able to continue doing what I do if I wasn't 100% sure that this is exactly what God had called me to do, and not only what He called me to do, but where I'm meant to be specifically. It's amazing to see people get their lives back together after they recover from addiction. But when somebody grabs a hold of the calling and the purpose and the meaning of what Christ gives us, that sets them into a whole new way of living with a whole new hope, and that is something I feel that helps me and continues to encourage me to do what I do. There is life beyond addiction, and that life is not just about living, but it's finding a purpose for your living, and I think that to me is what Teen Challenge is about.